Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to tell you something that will, if you truly allow it to land, permanently alter the way you understand manifestation, the way you understand waiting, and the way you understand the relationship between where you are and where you desire to be. Tonight I am going to tell you that time is a liar, not a benign fiction, not a useful approximation, a liar. A story your mind tells about change, which you have mistaken for the walls of your prison. You have been taught all your life that time is the medium through which good things eventually arrive if you do the right things, think the right thoughts, maintain the right inner state long enough. You have been taught that you stand here in the present while your desires stand somewhere ahead of you in the future. And the distance between you and them is measured in months and years and an indeterminate quantity of patience. You are always in this framework waiting for conditions to shift, waiting for time to carry the good thing to your door, waiting, and wondering why the waiting never seems to be over. But what if I told you tonight that the waiting itself, not your circumstances, not your past, not your unworthiness, but the waiting, the very act of orienting yourself toward a future that hasn't arrived, is the precise and singular thing keeping your desires from you? What if I told you that past, present, and future do not exist sequentially, one after another, the past behind you and the future ahead, but simultaneously, that they all exist right now, as real and present as the room you are sitting in? You will say, "But Neville, I can see with my own eyes that what I desire is not here. I can look at my bank account. I can look at my empty calendar. I can look at the space beside me where the person I love has not yet appeared. How can you tell me these things exist now?" And I will say, "You are looking in the wrong place. You are looking at the world of effects, the shadow world, the world that lags behind consciousness, the way a reflection lags behind the person who has already moved. Creation does not happen in that world. Creation happens in consciousness, in the eternal present, where all things already are." Let me ask you a question that seems simple and is not. What is time? Try to define it. Try to put your finger on it, to hold it, to describe it without using circular language, without saying that time is what passes, or what moves, or what separates one moment from another. Try. You cannot. And the reason you cannot is that time is not a thing. It is not a river flowing. It is not a force carrying you forward. Time is a mental construct, a framework your mind uses to organize the experience of change. But change and time are not the same thing. Watch the sun move across the sky. Watch the seasons arrive and depart. Watch your own body age. Yes, there is change. Yes, there is motion. But time is the story your mind narrates about that change. It is the interpretive layer your consciousness places over the raw fact of transformation. And like all stories, it can be told differently. Albert Einstein proved this not philosophically but mathematically more than 100 years ago. He demonstrated that time is relative, that it moves at different rates depending on velocity and gravity, that two people in different conditions can experience time at measurably different speeds. If time were absolute, if it were the fixed, universal, sovereign reality you have always believed it to be, this would be impossible. The fact that it is possible tells you everything about what time actually is. Einstein described what physicists call the block universe, a model of reality in which all moments that have ever existed and all moments that will ever exist are equally real, equally present, existing simultaneously in an eternal now. You are not moving through time. You are moving your attention through a landscape of moments that all exist at once, the way your eyes move across a painting which was always entirely there, which did not come into existence, stroke by stroke, as your gaze arrived at each element. Think of a film strip. Every frame, the beginning, the middle, the end, exists simultaneously on that strip. The story does not exist in the film itself in any sequential order. The sequence is created by the projector, by the speed at which frames pass the light, by the experience of watching. But the frames themselves are all equally, simultaneously present. Your life is that film strip. Every moment your childhood, this evening, the morning years from now when you wake up in the life you desire, all of it exists simultaneously, right now, not somewhere else. Here, in the eternal present, all of it is real. I can hear the objection forming, but I experience time. I remember yesterday and anticipate tomorrow. I feel the difference between past and future. How can you say these aren't real? I am not saying your experience is unreal. I am saying that what you think is causing that experience is an illusion. Here is the thing I want you to examine carefully. Can you actually experience the past? Right now, in this moment, can you go there? Can you touch it, inhabit it, live in it? No. You can only remember it. And that memory is happening right now, in this present moment. Can you experience the future? No. You can only imagine it. And that imagination is happening right now, in this present moment. Everything you have ever experienced has been experienced as now. The past was now when you lived it. The future will be now when you live it. You have never, not even once, experienced anything outside of this eternal present. The past is a memory happening now. The future is an imagination happening now. Only now is real. When this lands, truly lands, not as an intellectual position, but as a lived understanding, something extraordinary happens to your relationship with manifestation. Most people believe manifestation works like this. I am here, lacking what I want. I must do certain things, practice certain disciplines, maintain certain states, and eventually, after enough time has passed, my desire will materialize in my future. They see the gap between themselves and their desire as a gap measured in time, and they set about trying to cross it. But this is the map drawn upside down. Your desire does not exist in the future, waiting to be created. It exists now as an actual, real, present state of consciousness available to you in this eternal moment. There is a version of reality in which you have it. That version is not a metaphor. It is not a pleasant way of talking about something hypothetical. It is an actual state of consciousness existing right now, as real as the state you are currently occupying. There is also a version where you don't have it, a version where you are struggling, a version where you are abundantly free. All of these exist simultaneously. All of them are equally present, equally real, equally available. Which one you experience depends entirely on which one your consciousness is tuned to. Quantum physics has arrived from a completely different direction at something remarkably close to what I have been teaching for decades. At the fundamental level of reality, at the level where the equations that govern the universe are written, there is no time variable. The universe in its deepest nature is timeless. All possibilities exist simultaneously in what physicists call superposition. What you experience as time is simply consciousness collapsing different possibilities into sequential experience. But here is what the textbooks will not tell you. You choose which possibilities collapse into your experience, not randomly, not by external condition, by the state of consciousness you occupy. This is why I've always taught you to live in the end, not because living in the end creates a future reality, but because the end already exists now. Living from it tunes your consciousness to the frequency of the reality, where it is already true. And consciousness, tuned to a specific frequency, selects that version of reality from all the versions simultaneously present. The world is not a fixed thing you move through. It is a spectrum of simultaneous possibilities, and you are always selecting which band of it you inhabit. Your inner state is your tuner. Your assumptions are what you dial into. Your feeling of being the deep, quiet assumption of who you are and what is true for you is the signal that determines which frame, from the infinite film strip of possible realities, your consciousness selects as its present experience. This is the mechanism. This is what is actually happening beneath the surface of every life. Now let me show you the greatest hidden obstacle to manifestation. Something so subtle, so woven into the ordinary texture of thought, that most people never see it clearly enough to challenge it. I call it psychological time. Psychological time is the habit of living between 2 points: the memory of what was and the anticipation of what will be. You are never here. Your mind is always somewhere else, referencing the past as evidence of what cannot happen, projecting into the future with either hope or dread. You think about your desire, and within seconds your mind does something so automatic you barely notice it. It looks backward to your history, to the pattern of previous attempts and disappointments, and it uses that history as evidence about what is possible. Then it looks forward into an imagined future, projecting a trajectory based on that same evidence. And between the past it's using as proof and the future it's projecting as probability. You, the you that is actually eternally, only ever here, are nowhere to be found. This is living in time. And living in time is living in limitation, because creation happens only in the now, not the now that is coming tomorrow, not the now that existed this morning. The eternal now that is always present, the only moment in which consciousness is actually operative, the only moment in which anything has ever been made real. When you worry about how long your desire is taking, you are living in time. When you wonder why it hasn't happened yet, you are living in time. When you think maybe next month, maybe when circumstances shift a little, you are living in time. And in doing so, you are removing yourself from the only dimension in which you have creative power. Here is the mechanism that makes this so ruinous. When you ask when, you have already placed your desire in time. You have made it subject to temporal distance. You have given time authority over your desire, and the moment you grant that authority, time accepts it, and the gap between you and your desire becomes real, becomes operative, becomes the very thing your consciousness is now busy confirming. A man came to me once and said, "Neville, I have been practicing for 6 months. How much longer must I wait?" I said, "You will wait forever if you continue asking that question." He was stunned. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Every time you ask how much longer, you are making a declaration. You are declaring that you do not have it now. You are declaring that time stands as a real and sovereign barrier between you and your desire. And consciousness, which always creates from what you are now, not from what you hope to be later, hears that declaration and creates from it. The question itself is generating the condition it is asking about. He had not understood that the state of waiting perpetuates itself. If you are in the state of waiting, consciousness creates more waiting, because waiting is the inner reality you are broadcasting, and the outer world is its faithful reflection. You must collapse time, not manage it, not be patient with it, not wait for it to cooperate. Collapse it. Refuse to acknowledge its authority over your desire. Refuse to grant it the power to stand between you and what is already yours in consciousness. How do you collapse time? By understanding at the level of genuine inner knowing, not just intellectual agreement, that your desire exists now, not tomorrow, not after you have done enough work, not when circumstances have finally aligned. Now, the version of you who inhabits the reality of your fulfilled desire exists now. The state of consciousness that experiences your desire as present reality exists now, as real, as available, as immediate, as the state you are currently in. You are not traveling toward that state. You are selecting it. And selection happens only in the now. Selection is always a present moment act. Stop asking when will it come. That question contains within it a premise that undoes everything. The premise that your desire is elsewhere, that time is the distance between you and it, that you must traverse that distance through patience and practice and the passage of days. Ask instead, what is the state of consciousness that already experiences the reality where my desire is fulfilled? And then, not tomorrow, not after more preparation, become that state. Now, let me make this as practical as I possibly can. Right now, in this eternal present moment, as you hear these words, I want you to make a decision about who you are, not who you were, not who you will be someday, who you are. And I mean this with full precision. Do not reference your past. Your past is a memory you are experiencing now, and you can select a different memory. Do not project your future. Your future is an imagination you are experiencing now, and you can imagine differently. In this moment, in the only moment that has ever existed or will ever exist, claim your desire as present reality. Not I hope it comes, not I am working toward it, not maybe soon if I do this correctly. Those are all variations of the same sentence. I do not have it now. And that sentence, spoken with the full authority of genuine inner conviction, is the most effective manifestation you will ever perform. It will reliably create more of the very absence it describes. Instead, it is present tense, no qualification, no future marker. It is feel yourself as the person who has it, not will have it, not is working toward having it, has it. Now, let that be your present state of being, not your preparation for a future state. This is not a technique for creating something that doesn't yet exist. This is the act of selecting from the infinite spectrum of simultaneously existing realities, the one in which your desire is already true. Throughout your day, whenever you catch yourself drifting into psychological time, rehearsing past evidence, projecting future hope or future anxiety, stop. Not with force, not with self-criticism. Simply notice, I have left the now and return. In this moment, you are who you choose to be. In this moment, you have what you claim to have. In this moment, you experience what you genuinely feel yourself experiencing. The world, which is always and only a reflection of your most consistent inner state, can only show you what you are actually broadcasting from the eternal present. Before you sleep tonight, I want you to do something specific. Forget time. Not temporarily, not as a technique, but genuinely let the question of when become irrelevant, because you understand now that it is built on a false premise. Do not think about your past. Do not think about your future. Exist only in now. In this now, assume you are the person your desire implies you to be, not imagining it, arriving tomorrow, experiencing it as present. Feel it, know it, be it. Let the last impression on your consciousness, as sleep approaches, be the feeling of your wish fulfilled, not as something approaching, not as something you are waiting for, but as something that simply is, as natural and unremarkable as the ground beneath your feet. Do this not once. Do it persistently. Do it until it becomes your habitual inner climate, the state from which you move through each day, not as someone waiting for their life to begin, but as someone who is already living it. And watch as the world, which has no choice but to reflect your inner state, rearranges itself to match what you have claimed in the eternal now. Let me say directly what I most want you to carry with you. Time is not your master. It is a fiction, a convenient story your mind tells about change, which you have been treating as an iron constraint on what is possible for you. You have been handing your power to a fiction and then wondering why you feel powerless. You are not bound by your past. Your past is not a fixed reality determining your trajectory. It is one frame from an infinite film strip, and the strip contains frames you have not yet visited. Frames that exist right now as fully as the ones you remember. You are not limited by an uncertain future. That future is not uncertain, it already exists. Multiple versions of it exist simultaneously right now, and you select which one becomes your experience by your present state of consciousness. The only moment in which you have ever lived, the only moment in which anything has ever been created is now, this moment. The eternal, creative, all-powerful, endlessly present now. And in this now, you are who you claim to be. So stop waiting, stop hoping, stop preparing for a someday that in this framework can never arrive, because someday is always in the future. And the future, while real, is only accessible from here, from the state of consciousness you occupy now. Your desire is not coming. It already exists. It exists as a state of consciousness, as a reality in the eternal landscape of simultaneous moments, as a version of your life that is as real as the version you are currently experiencing. The only question is which version your consciousness is selecting. Occupy the state that has it. Not later, not when you have worked through all your doubt. Now, in this breath, in this moment that is the only moment there has ever been or will ever be. Time cannot limit you. Only your belief in time can limit you. Only your willingness to keep granting time the authority to stand between you and your desire can make that authority real. Tonight, withdraw that authority. Step into the eternal now. Claim your desire as present reality, not future possibility, not approaching probability, but present reality, and live from that claim with the settled, untroubled conviction of someone who understands exactly what they are doing and exactly why it works. This is the secret. This is the power. This is the law. You are not waiting for your good to come to you. You are selecting which good, already present, you will experience. Choose now. Thank you and good evening. This is Neville Lectures. I'll see you again in the next video.